We are now at a point where we can realize a few more things about arrays that we have seen in examples already. We can generalize those ideas. We can use an array variable anywhere we would use any other kind of variable. If we need to pass an array as a parameter to a method, we actually can do that. And why would we do that? For any reason that we would pass any other variable as a parameter. The compute sum method, we want to compute, for instance, the sum of all the elements of an integer array. That's a great example of why we might need to use an array as a parameter. But much more familiar to you must be the array that we pass to the main method. You've written so many main methods up to this point. And the string array, which actually carries the arguments that we want to provide to our program so that it runs correctly. In the opposite direction as well, an array can be the return value of a method. For instance, we may have a method which sorts an array, so it will take as an argument an array, but it will also return an array, which will be the sorted array. It could be a new array that has all of the same values but sorted, or that method may actually sort in place, return exactly the same array but with the values sorted. Or we may just have any kind of method that doesn't need to take an array as an argument and just return results into an array form. An array of type T with square brackets has elements of type T. This is an important note to remember, especially when we are going to talk about a little bit more complicated arrays, what are known, especially in other programming languages, as multidimensional arrays. But be patient and we will come to that topic in a little bit. A few things to also realize about the initialization of an array. Variables are initialized at the moment that they are declared. When we declare a variable of int type, for instance, when we say int x semicolon, we may have not explicitly assigned an initial value to that x variable, however, Java will. The initial value to that will be 0. In general, all of the variables will be initialized at the time they are declared, even if we do not explicitly do so. How would we explicitly initialize a variable? Upon declaration, we can say int x becomes equal to 1, semicolon. But by default, the elements of an array as well are initialized with their type-specific default. If we have an int variable and we don't initialize it, the default initial value will be 0. If we declare double y semicolon, we don't give an initial value, Java will assign an initial value to that variable, and that will be 0.0 because it's a double variable. In the same way also, we create an array of type double. All of the elements of the array, as soon as that array is created, will have the default initial value 0.0. If we have a reference array, all of the elements of that newly created array will have the value null. This is the default value for references. We already said that we can initialize any other variable upon declaration, like double y becomes equal to 5.2, semicolon. At compile time, we can also initialize an array. See the example on the slide. We can have a car array called vowels, and we actually assign to that array values to every element using the curly braces. In general, we have the array declaration, the declaration of the array variable, and then at the place where we would create the array by saying new car of 5, for example, instead of doing that, we provide the curly braces and as many values as elements that we want. This is the way to initialize an array upon declaration. As I have mentioned several times already on this slide, the initialization must be done at the same time as the declaration.